Welcome back, guys. Back to episode number 6. This one, we're discussing more about what's more prevalent now. That's a reoccurring theme. This casting the judgment on immigration and the students and the lifestyle that they are living. And certain people, have a positive outlook on it. Other people just, completely diminish their struggle when they come to Canada. So we just want to shine light on all the struggles that they go through, and especially, some of my peers and even my workers that they work for me, they are students that work alongside, maintaining a household, studying, working, and how they're balancing it, and the struggles they face throughout all that process, because a lot of them are built for it where they can, maintain a straight head and know what the end goal is and work towards it. Yeah. But some of them, they don't have that ability to navigate through that journey and keep a head straight, but that's where they divert into the drug abuse or the depression rate creeps up, the anxiety rates. And so we just wanted to kind of represent both of the sides. We don't want to neglect, there are students out there that cast a bad image on, what the student life is. You guys seen it, people in Ontario, Brampton, Surrey, gadiyan cutting around the block. Same block for 2-3 hours they're there. But, we also want to show the other side where I have worked hand in hand with the people that, that work their ass off, man, like 10 times harder than what an average student has to do here. Not saying their hardships are means any lesser, but just kind of shining a light on that aspect. So I think the first thing we want to touch upon is just like the cultural difference, which is huge, man. Yeah. I think Mukh can speak to it because he he has a different, I guess, perspective, you can say, about, how he perceives, whether it's a negative thing about all the students coming in or the positive, or and how he sees it. So,
yeah, I guess. I mean, I think the main thing, the biggest culture difference is the dating life, because you'll see these bandeyos staring at you like with the death stare.
The corner. Hey, they're standing there like Senga.
Yeah. Even they're looking, then you're just like, oh, why is this fucking guy staring at me? Like, what is he trying to do here? Like, yeah. But they're just acting innocent. They just don't know how the
cultural
different lifestyle, cultural difference, and all that sort. But there's a lot of misunderstanding, and because of that culture difference, I think the people that have been born and raised here, the first generation, they don't really, they're kind of stuck in this Western culture, right? And kind of like, in a sense, picking sides in a sense that, okay, you know what, like these guys are from India, right? I don't want to be part of them. I don't want to even be part. I don't even want to be able to be in that type of group setting. Yeah. I'm in this culture. I'm in the Western side, Western culture, and they're not part of my lifestyle. Yeah. So.
Yeah, no, and that's the issue though too. I feel like when it comes to that whole casting that judgment, because personally, like I came from that environment where I coming into grade 7, ESL, couldn't speak a word of English. Yeah. I remember when I came in, we had an interview at LSU campus with the principal. So he was asking a couple of questions. I just gave him the death stare. I knew what he was saying. I just didn't know how to freaking comprehend what I was saying and how to, get it out of me. So for me, it was just like that adjustment, that culture shock was completely different. You know why? Like, one, your ordinary life back home, and when you bring that same mindset and everything here, it's day and night. The reason why I say that is, okay, and one thing I do want to point out before I get into the point is, when I came in 2006, back from India, I got nothing but love, from everybody here. They didn't outcast me, didn't feel like an outsider, even though, I couldn't speak a lick of English. I was just going off yes and no's and emotions and the facial expression, Yeah. But the issue now is I came at an earlier grade, in grade 6, grade 7, but I progressively learned. But the students that are coming in now, it's like, it's at a graduation, like past grade 12. So it's university levels. So now that culture shock is like, that ordinary back home is not the same here.
Yeah.
The stuff we do back home is normalized to a certain extent, almost creepy, the way they carry themselves and the way they talk. Here is completely different, right? And that's where, a lot of the times, and when you see like, people just stare at you, like, imagine if you're holding someone's hand, you're going down, walking down the sidewalk, they just staring at you, weirdest looks you get.
Yeah.
And then, they got to understand that, when they see that over and over, a lot of people do cast that judgment like, nah, man, these students are mad weird. Like, they're always doing some weird things. So I think that obviously that's a learning curve for them. But what you got to realize is it's like they're the embodiment of your parents. What your parents do, like staring and, make judging you stuff, they're the same people, but in a younger version of them.
True.
So you got to understand, they're different, but just, address it with them. Don't need to cast a judgment, but have a conversation with like, listen, man, I get it. You guys are new to this lifestyle, but guess what? Doing these certain things can make you look a certain way in the society, and that's not how you carry yourself. But you'd rather pull that guy aside, be like, hey, man, like, the way you do these things, you going around the same block over and over, not only are you hindering yourself ability to portray yourself in a positive light, you're just painting that picture so negatively where now everybody's against students in a sense where like they're all the same. You put them in that same group, and it's kind of sad to see because that's not what it is about. So and kind of going on with that, so not only there's a cultural difference where now they have to adjust. How do they get acclimated with everything, the surroundings and everything, and how do they adjust? And the one thing they find is a comfort zone is find another student that understands the language. So when you don't have the support system, especially in smaller communities, like, it could be like Edmonton or even other smaller towns. Now we have a bigger, larger community of immigration students here, but when you look at the main line that was coming, it was in Ontario and it was in Vancouver. Now with those is it just got to a point where like it was just overpacked. The government did a poor job in the distribution of having a plan where it's distributed properly throughout the provinces. Now if it's just like, so then that kind of speaks to the infrastructure that the government has in place, because if that's the only places they have, which is BC, Surrey, Vancouver area, or just Ontario area, now you're setting that environment to become the same setting that was back home.
Yeah.
And now the resentment comes from the people of that area, but like they're turning it into this whole whatever's back home, this, that. But the main concern is the infrastructure provided by the government and how they implement these programs and how to divide them up into different provinces and kind of make it even playing field. Don't just overcrowd this one area. What do you expect? People gonna see comfort where you see the same color or the way the style, bug, whatever. They see comfort, right? Yeah. They're not gonna see comfort where, the person's black or white, because like they don't speak the language or none of that. So they see comfort where they see the same faces, and the issue that arises now, as we talked about, is because there's mass immigration that is coming into Canada. Like I think last year alone we had 900,000 students that came into Canada. That is a lot, man. I think that went up by at least 40% since 2013. 40%. And 40%, and 20% of the population is made up by immigration students in Canada. So if you look at that 20% and compared to the per capita of Canada's population, that's a huge amount. And now what you're seeing is, bro, my beard keeps getting stuck in this, bro. Yo, it keeps getting stuck in here. So what was I saying?
40%.
Oh, yeah. So 20%, yeah. So,
20%.
Yeah. So And the 20% of the population of immigration students, majority of them reside in Ontario, Vancouver,
Yeah.
right? So now let's look at it from the perspective of the resources that are available to them. So let's break it down. So not only do they have to get acclimated with the cultural difference, and now they have to get find a place to live. It's already so saturated, and the housing market is not enough. There's not enough houses for people to rent out. And the people that do rent out, they take advantage of these students because they know they have nowhere to go.
Yeah.
They know there's going to be like 20 dudes in one basement. That is a mad thing, you know? And then
crazy.
that's where these issues arise, is where now people are like, oh, look what they are doing. They're just, you know, they're causing this issue or doing this stupid stuff, but they have no other choice.
Yeah.
When you look at Ontario and BC, look at the housing market. They can't sustain a $2,000 renting at a basement. That's so unrealistic. So now let's put that into perspective. $2,000 a month, they have to provide for themselves. Not only do they have to provide for themselves, they have to pay the tuition, which is normally 3 to 4 times what an average student, you and me, would pay.
Yeah. Yeah.
They have no other option but to go live with the 5-6 people that are living together.
Yeah.
It's unrealistic that people think, oh, it's their fault. It's not their fault. It's the system that was placed. Not to fully, you know, not to give them like fault at all, like, you know, put full blame on the system itself, but it was just an implementation of how the students' distribution around the whole Canada went about. I think it was just implemented wrong, and now they're, you know, having these different programs in Saskatoon, this, that. It's like they waited so long, where the problem got to a point where like, what do we do now?
Yeah.
And then they start promoting. They're like, oh, if you go to Saskatoon, it's easier for you to get your open work permit after you finish your studies. We're like, the issue's already been so prevalent. Now you guys are coming in. You're like, oh, just go there. Yeah. Now there's a whole aspect of moving to a different place. You already don't even have the support system behind you because you're coming from a different country. And on top of that, you have to provide for your family back home. That's the main reason why you got sent, you know? And that's the main issue as well. What people don't understand is they have this burden on them to provide for the family back home, right? And I have employees that are personally that I know that they have to go through the same struggle. Even now, they work their ass off, man. This was her schedule, man. One of my employees, her name was Raman, man, one of the most hardworking person. She would go to school 7 to 3, come to work from 5 till 12.
Shit.
So the only time they have for themselves is that 6-hour span. So take that in. Out of a day, they have 6 hours for themselves, which is sleep.
Yeah.
They do the same thing. So now take that in. Not only do you have to provide for the family, they have to pay for the tuition, they have to find accommodations for themselves to live, and put food on the table.
Yeah.
That is such an unrealistic expectation for these students to have and succeed in these circumstances. And when they don't have that support system around them, and when you see the neglection from our own community where we're taunting them, they're like, no, they're causing this whole issue of they're doing stupid stuff or they're abusing drugs. But why is that?
Yeah.
Why is that? There's a whole, it's like a canal. We're just jumping over it. We're not looking at the stream that's passing through. We can't, it's not fair to them, you know? So, I don't know. It's kind of sad to see a lot of people just put blame on them without even looking at the whole picture of it, because when you really sit down, it's the burden on them to carry everything, to make a life out here. It's livelihood. It's not easy, man. And I think people need to be more understanding of what they go through and support them, man, in any way possible. And I even seen a lot of Gurdwaras reject these people. They're like, oh no, he abuses drugs, he's this, that, da da da. Yeah. Where are they going? And now if you look at BC, like the videos that are coming out, people are living homeless, man, under bridges.
Oh yeah.
How sad is that?
Yeah.
And this is what I encourage people back home too. If you can't provide for your kids to come here, don't send them here.
Yeah. Well, I think though, like, if just in general, like if we think about just how the political system is, right? How it's placed, how they promote the idea of immigrants coming here, you know, family, students coming here. Well, like what you mentioned before, it's like what's the planning behind it? because it just seems like they're just trying to push people to come here, but there's no set plan for it.
Yeah.
Right. There's not really how you say a platform set. So when they do come here, right, they don't have the resources, right? What resources do they really have? They don't really have, because I mean, like what we talked about again, like cultural difference is a huge difference between the two, right? Yeah.
And that's the thing though too, like when you say like the political side, so this is some basic knowledge, like, you know, this is what it is. They put a cap on it. Ontario put a cap on how many students can come in. But now the universities are pushing back, like provincially, that they say don't put a cap on it. So now look at this whole circle. The universities are pushing, saying bring more students in, right? The government saying we can't bring more students. We don't have anywhere to put them.
Yeah.
Right? So now, not only are you creating a housing crisis domestically, but for people that are coming out of countries.
Yeah.
We can't take in student. We can't take in refugees. We can't provide aid for the people that are already living here. So how do you expect for these people to live in any type of normal conditions, so on, so called, and for them to go about the day be like, yeah, it's the students that are at fault. Look at the whole landscape of what the lifestyle is.
Yeah.
And, you know, as I pointed out to before, the university has a bottom line. They know what it is. This is what we got to hit, and these are the targets we have to hit. And guess what? When they don't meet that, certain aspect when it comes to immigration student getting help and support, for example, ESL programs, they got shut down now because the universities can't support it. Why is that? Because there are less influx of students coming in from internationally.
Yeah.
So now you take that in. Immigration student coming in. ESL program used to be free for international students when it comes to universities. Now they don't have that program. So reason why? Because they can't afford to pay the professors and the teachers. They don't have that ability to pay them. So now, when it comes to Canada itself politically, they have to fix the in-housing market of housing and other issues that are facing. Fixing the housing market first. And then you can have these political talks where like, okay, we have this cap on this many students can come. Okay, are we capable of, if there was a crisis around the world, if we are taking refugees from our countries that we're partnered with, are we able to take that? So you have to consider that whole thing. In Canada, there hasn't been no initiative on that level. How do we go about that? So when you have that, that's when you see all these drug abuse, these people sleeping on the streets, anxieties, depression rates, suicide rates. These things don't just formulate out of thin air. And some people from back home, they do come with the problem already with the drug abuse and stuff, 100%. But that's a small portion of the overall picture. You know, it's a small piece of the pie. The overall picture is the lifestyle they live here is not sustainable. And I think it's not fair to paint this negative picture on them to be like, they're at fault for everything they do. Yeah, they're a couple of bad apples, 100%.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, the way I think it is like, it's this, the problem too is, it's relatives. So like you'll see that relatives that live here, right, that moved here before the students that moved, they kind of sell them this dream, right? This delusional dream of this is how life is. The life here is so much better than back home.
Yeah.
Right? To an extent it is, right? Yeah. But they don't go into depth of the struggles that you have to go through. Back then, I would say even that much like when our parents came here, right? Yeah. There were struggles for sure. But imagine the struggles that are now with the housing market, like you explained, the housing market, the expenses, the daily life, right?
Yeah.
The lack of support system, right? Imagine how much more of a struggle it is now. So I think that if we're gonna put a blame, or if we're gonna
outcast them,
label the issue amongst this, is that one, it's the relatives, because the relatives are very, they have a very difficult time trying to provide a glimpse of reality and how much more difficult it is now. Number two is the political system, like we were mentioning before. Yeah, it's like, first of all, it's like if you're pushing this many, the thing is like the political system. People are gonna hate this. Political system, universities, they're only gonna look out for themselves. Yeah, right. That's the one thing I learned during during my time in universities, is that there's no guarantee that you're going to get a job after your degree.
Yeah.
They'll provide you the stats, and they'll be like, oh, if you do this degree, you'll get this. Nah, fuck no, you're not going to get shit, right? It's very, very difficult. I know that well enough.
Yeah.
So on top of that too, like you're paying fees, right? For a regular course, like for example, I did business. For a semester, I think it was about $4,000, right? For 4 courses around there. It's double that for immigrants. For international students,
yeah.
right? So, just all of that. It's just, the thing is like the government, the university is just only going to look from themselves. They're not really going to provide you the system, the support system to when you do come here, right? And it's the fact it's a delusion, right? It's a dream that's being sold, right? Like the thing is like people from India, the political system in India is so messed up, right? So people are they have this image that if they move to Canada, they're going to have a better life. Right, but the reality is that you're gonna have to start all over again here. Why not continue? I mean, yeah, sure, it's gonna be difficult because in the system in India is a whole different system than it is here. Yeah. But at least you'll have a support system there. You have your family and friends, and you're able to, even if it takes a longer time, at least you're able to progress.
Yeah, and that's the thing though too. I feel like everybody's looking at the life we have here. They're like, wow, it seems so blissful. Believe me, it's a tough living out here, man. And that's a lot of the issue is people want to back home, just want to imagine like, oh, they're living such a good life here. They think money grows on a tree here, literally. Like they think that's how it works out here. That's not how it is. They got to understand when you come here, you coming from a background of, okay, you have everything given to you. Everybody back home has a knocker. Farming is the main thing. They don't even do that. They have knockers doing for them. So now you're a free loafer coming here, not understanding the full ramification of what you're getting yourself into, and expect yourself to be like everything be gravy. And now you're sitting here like, I don't even want to live this lifestyle. They're literally crying and bitching and moaning about working.
Yeah.
What do you expect? It's not that you want to come here, but then you want this lifestyle of the same what you have back home. So that unrealistic expectation of what I feel like a lot of people that do come in, they have this understanding of like, going, I have parents back home. They'll take care of me. I'm now playing the devil advocate, and I'm looking at the other side where there are a lot of students where they come in, they have this mindset about, first thing they do is they want to go purchase a car.
Yeah.
Or spend it on this, go hit on girls. Your main reason why you were here is your parents supported you come here. They paid you, they paid you to come here. Make something of that. Mm-hmm. You know how many people would have killed to be in your position from back home or anywhere around the world?
Definitely, yeah.
That my parents can afford to send me to Canada and make a living out of. Man, that's a blessing that everybody wants around the world that are going through struggles. But yet some of these students take it for granted, but like, like my parents got enough, worst comes to worst, like I'll just go back home. Why are you here in the first place?
Yeah.
You're putting in such a bad picture on the students that are out here struggling and still going through every day with their head on their shoulders.
That's true.
And even like sometimes my dad, like he says like, student in the ganda paya hoya, right? And that's like a small portion that they see that's being glorified on social media. How many times do you see a video on the internet, a student's telling this is the struggle they face, compared to how many videos are online of these students are in cars, this, that, doing stupid shit, or they're in malls, like hitting on girls, saying vulgar things.
Yeah.
Okay, that stuff is being glorified, but now look at the other side though. Who shows that lifestyle of, hey, let me go in a day in the life of an international student, let me see what it is. No. That never gets presented forth in social media. Why? Because now we don't want to empathize with them. They gotta go back to their own country, go back there.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works, man. We gotta be more forthgoing and understanding in the struggle they face, and truly be aware. Put yourself in their position.
Yeah.
We live in the comfort of our parents' homes.
Well, even that too, like if, like our parents went through a lot of shit, right?
It's
they struggle a lot.
Yeah.
Like, but just imagine, like what we were talking about before, imagine how much the struggle is now, right? For them, they see the kids that are born and raised here. They're living this lavish life, right? But what I'll say is enough that if it wasn't for our parents, imagine which position we would be in.
Yeah.
Right. So.
Yeah, that's the thing though. Like we saw firsthand when it comes to our parents what that struggle was. Yeah. For them, their struggle didn't begin until they come here. They're like, oh shit, I do gotta work.
Yeah.
My parents can't send me money no more. You know, so our struggles we saw firsthand through our parents. For immigration student, it was more so like, okay, some of them don't have the complete understanding what this opportunity actually means and to fully take advantage of it. Because now we gotta flourish together as a community. You know, a lot of the times the own people that put ourselves down is our own people.
Definitely.
Our own people have such a negative light about what international students mean compared to other communities out there. Other communities be like, hey, I like their presence here. You know, it's a different culture. I understand it, but it's our own community that tears down our own people.
Yeah.
And that's what saddens me the most is because now that support system is gone. You know, and then that's what I said. Like when it comes to a lot of the committees and these gurdwaras and stuff, they don't even take these students in. They're like, why would we? They don't even want to provide support for them. That's sad. Your own people that are begging for help and are not even provided. And one of my friends, she works with the government, the Edmonton, and she told me this. She works for an addiction center, and she's like, Amrit, right now, probably over 70 to 80% people that are coming in, they're international students.
Sure.
That's a huge amount, man.
Huge amount, yeah.
Now, if you take that into perspective, why is it so prevalent? The reason why it's so prevalent is what I said before. It's this unrealistic expectation of providing for the family they have back home. And then if you're not doing enough, that constant judgment being cast. Oh, you're not for the family. You changed when you got there. And I have seen this among employees and peers where they get freaking looked down on. They get teared down because why? They have an obligation. Why send them here?
Yeah.
If you think the main purpose of the person coming here is that they have an obligation to provide for back home, no. It was for them to start a different life from what you guys have back home. If you guys are very well off back home, don't send your kids here. What for? You guys just putting them in a position to go through the system, and then when they don't make it out of it, you guys want to cry a river. No, man. If people back home, if your kids are good, don't send them here. Why? What's the reason? You know, and it saddens me because it affects me because I see all these kids going through this shit without no support system, man. Like even that video when I saw the student like sitting under like the bridge, that kills me, man. That's like your brother or your sister from back home. Yeah. You know, what if your sister was down there? What if, your brother was down there? Whatever. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy, man. So,
but it's a system that's being sold. Do you know how like we have these differences? The differences that we talked in a previous episode with how much difficult it is to connect with our parents. And even for us, right? Like after some time, we were able to build that connection, build that relationship with our parents. Yeah. But that's because that we had to change their mindset of what the system is. Yeah. Their mindset when they came here was that, again, like what we were saying in the previous episode, was that they came here, struggled, sacrificed everything, worked 2 to 3 jobs. That was their life of happiness. Yeah. Right? And that's how life should be. And that affected, and the reason why like there's a lot of fights and arguments that happen in a household, because they don't understand what true happiness is. Yeah. Right? And it's that constant cycle, like even today's age, like it's even more difficult. It's 2-3 times more difficult than what our parents used to go through. Yeah. That this is how the system is. The system is the way to go. Yeah. Right? But one thing they're not understanding is that they're being sold this dream, like I was saying it. They're sold this dream that this is how life should be. But it's just, all it's going to do is just when they get here, like what you're saying, like some of these students are living under a bridge, right? Yeah. They don't have the support system from your own community, because the community is so selfish in a sense that they're very ignorant. We talk about seva a lot in our fucking culture, but no, it's that in itself, seva is delusional. Yeah. Nobody's really doing seva, right? Besides, unless they're receiving something in return, right? But that's, I think that even itself is those people who are trying to do seva are also the ones that are struggling as well.
Yeah, because
Right?
they know what it feels like.
So it's all skewed up in a sense that should I like do these people are not helping out? What's the reason why? They're struggling themselves. Immigrants are coming in. That's screwing up the whole system, right? That's causing a lot of people typically get jobs that are already born here, that are raised here, right? So what is the solution for this? Where's the end to this?
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, we have no control over it because it's all politics, right? And the only way that I see that there's a solution to it is if you help each other out, right? And this mindset of like this person's outside of the country, right? It's a whole different culture. This person doesn't understand how it is the way it is here, the struggle that we're going through.
Yeah.
No, it's everybody goes through the same struggle. It's a matter of time of when it's happening. Just like how your parents went through the struggle back then, they're going through the same struggle now, how it is now, but it's 3 times more difficult.
Yeah.
So
No, and that's the thing though. It's like alluding back to what you said about like the whole seva aspect and these gurdwaras, the people that are actually sitting on these committees and actually having these gurdwaras, they don't even uphold any type of fundamental understanding of what Gurbani and what it states in it. I know so many people in our culture, period, like they go to Gurdwara and when they come back home, they resent everything there is to life. Oh, when it comes to marriage, Jat, it has to be a Jat. Where does it say in the Gurbani it has to be a Jat? This notion, man, it kills me. The amount of time I've seen families disapprove of someone that is more than willing to provide everything for the counterpartner, whether it's a girl or a guy, but yet they reject that relationship because they're not Jat. What are we doing? We're ruining our own kids, our own relatives' lives because now we have this built-up notion of what life means. And that kind of goes into just the whole thing where like our community is so divided. We want to tear ourselves down more than anybody else, which doesn't make any sense to me, and that's why there's such a divide when it comes to our family talks about like, oh, they talk to us. They're like, man, it's all about family, keep it together. That's how you win. But they can't even talk to their own brother. They're fighting over Jameen back home. That doesn't even, I'm not even going to go there. You're 68, 70, that like, I don't even give a shit. I don't care how much that value is. Who cares? How often am I go there? They're fighting over pointless wars. We can't stand together as a family and build something. You know how like, it kills me to see in other cultures how tight-knit they are and how well they communicate and how they develop when it comes to the business aspect, when it comes to, personal relationship, everything. Look at Gujaratis, for example. Why are they so successful? The first ever motel to open up in United States was a Gujarati. And guess what? When he added on that franchise more and more, who he sold it off to? The Gujaratis. No, they keep in the community, man. I'm telling you, they rise together. Ours, we rise together, we pull them down. Now I'm up here. Wait, no, hold on. Now you come down here, let me take a turn. It's like a turn by turn. That's not how it is. It should be, I'm up here, hey, let me lend you a hand. Now you come up here, you take it to the next level. And the divide in our culture, especially Sikh, man, Sikhi is, and being Punjabi, it's a joke these days, man. There's no camaraderie. Family members can't even talk to you like each other. I can't talk to my master or Masi because some dispute about some bullshit back home. That's not what a tight-knit community means. And when there's already such a divide within the own family, how do we expect newcomers from overseas? How are we going to support them? How are we going to provide this support system to give them that ability to achieve good things in life? When we can't even understand the battle we're fighting ourselves is just to an endless meaning of a whole lot of nothing. And I want to get rid of that rhetoric of like, man, stand together as family. You can accomplish 10 times more with your cousins together than you can do individually. I don't care, man. There's give me 10 brains compared to 1. I'll take that any time of the day. So I think we got to create this more tight-knit community where come together, man, be more understanding, foregoing of mistakes, Yeah, if there's something that, you can't overlook, that's fine. You move on. Don't hold it in. Don't hold grudges. Just let it be, man. It just be foregoing with everything. And then kind of tying it back to the whole immigration thing is because we're so flustered already, we overlook the issues that we have with them. So I encourage everybody to, kind of understand it's not easy lifestyle for them.
Yeah.
To provide for their parents back home that send them here for hopefully a better life, to pay for the tuition that are 4 or 5 times higher than what an average student pays here, to live on an unrealistic expectation of rents for like 2,000-3,000 for basement or even one housing, and then eat on top of that, have a basic life, go out, have some sanity. These are unrealistic expectation to have for these students, and to be put them in that position. So we just gotta help them as much as we can. And even for the students, they gotta reach out and seek help wherever you can, man. The campuses are doing their best at universities to provide that support on any level. They're trying, man. I've seen the level of service they're providing. They're helping. Reach out to them.
Yeah.
Don't think your problem is small that you don't gotta bring it up. But those small things build up to something that you're at a point where you're facing with anxiety, depression, and then eventually, too sad as it is suicide rates, man.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to, everybody just keep your head up, man. It's a tough road out there. Like, you can't cast judgment on a whole international student based off a couple bad apples.
Yeah.
Just be forthgoing, understanding what they go through, and then stand together as a community, man.
Yeah.
That's how we achieve shit in life.
I think from my perspective, one thing for sure I agree upon is community, right? There's so much that you can, it's really difficult to find the right people within our community that will actually support us the right way.
Yeah.
Support you the right way. So I guess it's trial and error, right? I think though, like for those who are immigrants that are coming into this country, you gotta have a really thick skin. You gotta really understand that not just because they're within your community that they're gonna help you out.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee.
Yeah, 100%.
So if somebody's not really, has the right vibe, right energy, they're not really supporting you the way that you're looking for, and you're not asking for much at all, just dump them and go to the next person wherever you can, right? You got to be very cold with it, because like the thing too is like you sacrifice so much. You're starting from somewhere you had a support system from family and friends.
Yeah.
Now you're somewhere who you don't even know anybody in this community at all.
Yeah.
Or in this country or city. So I think that you just gotta keep on looking for the right people, and you'll attract the right people as long as you keep a strong mentality behind it.
Yeah.
Number 2 is that I'm going to be a bit on the opposite on the university side. I think the universities, I'm very cold with the university system. I don't support them that much in a sense. But the reason why is because it's so part of the system that for them it's a numbers game rather than
beta.
Yeah. It's a number game rather than reality itself.
Yeah.
So even each departments have a quota that they have to hit, right?
Yeah.
If it's surpassing their quota, there's so much that they can really afford,
Yep.
right? And for them, then after that, they kind of just neglect clients or clientele, whatever it is, right?
No,
So
true.
for me, it's like I think this is a responsibility for those who live here, right? To be able to, if there's somebody, especially in schools, man, if you're born and raised here, right, and you know well enough, there's a lot of international students within your institution, this university or college you're going to, be able to put yourself out of your comfort position of your own friend circle.
Get acclimated with them, man.
And go.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be something. You don't need to receive
Like a
something.
buddy. Yeah,
you don't need to receive something tangible behind
Nothing, man. Just talk.
Sometimes it's just having a normal conversation. Because for them, like just think of just imagine yourself in their position.
They're scared.
They don't have anything at all here.
No.
Right? They're like what you're saying, like one of your employees, right?
Yeah,
She's
man.
working, right?
It has no life.
All the time, no personal life or anything. School's probably the most, at most, right? Where she can have interaction.
Yep.
So I think though, like we tend to look at too much at what we're giving out, what
they kind of represent too. We look down on them, but like, man, Punjabi, like, yo, they're speaking Punjabi out loud.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like embarrassment. It's not an embarrassment.
Mhm.
Like, no.
It's what I'm trying to say is like there's too much. You feel like there's too much. You're gonna be too. You're gonna be held too accountable for what they want, right?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because if you feel like that because they don't have anything at all, that if you're in that position to help them, that they're gonna ask for a lot, and you're gonna be held accountable for it.
Yeah.
Right. So, but what I'm trying to say is that just do the basics, right? Just talk to them, get to know them. If there's some sort of way that they're struggling, I mean, they are struggling already, but there's some sort of way, even something small that you're able to advise or something that you can give to them.
Yeah.
Just give it to them.
Yeah.
Right. You don't need to receive. This is what you call true seva. It's your 100%. Selfless serve. You don't receive. You don't expect anything in return.
Yeah.
Right. Seva doesn't need to be at the gurdwara.
Yeah.
Seva can be outside. It can be universities, wherever public places are. Right.
It's a lifestyle, man.
It's a lifestyle. So the thing is, like, you need to have the right mindset to do that. Keep an open mind. Be patient about it. Especially patience is a huge issue within our today's world. Nobody has patience, right? And be able to have a mindset that I don't need anything in return, right? I'm good enough. I'm happy enough that I'm able to help this person out to get them out of the position that they're in, right? And it doesn't need to be about money. It can be just knowledge itself.
Yeah.
We in our world, like in social media, we push so much about entrepreneurship. We push so much about making money. But in real life, we're not really doing those things that are necessary to help those people out that are struggling.
100%.
Right? So even if you're able to give some sort of knowledge, just a little bit, or or even just inviting them, like let's say if you run a business of some sort, do something like a day in the life of an entrepreneur, right? Be able to teach them, be able to give them, let them shadow you, and be able to give them a perspective of like, there's something else. There's something else more than just this being part of the system, being part of the rat race.
We need more mentorship in our community.
Exactly.
Just that ability to seek help, so they can kind of grow in the same pathway as a successful person, and they can persevere anything they're going. So
yeah, I think though. What was I gonna say? But what I'm saying is like the thing is there's so much we can control. We can't, like, I'm not saying this, and I'm trying not to say this in a bad way, but we can't control how many immigrants can come in. Yeah. Right? Because the problem is that the government is allowing so many X amount of immigrants, but they're not preparing for and be able to prepare for it and be able to provide a support system for it. Yeah. So we need to take it within our own hands to be able to help them. Yeah. Right? Because at the end of the day, even though it's affecting that one person, it's affecting us overall as well as a community, and just being able to recognize that, okay, this person's new here, he or she doesn't really have much of a support system. Reach out and help. Right? Let me reach out and help out as much, and it doesn't need to be much. It can be just little. It can be just having a normal conversation. Yeah, it's huge. Have an understanding, like, okay, having a perspective of what their backgrounds are, but also knowing that you have the resources and being able to share with them. Yeah. So. Yeah, and then lastly, one thing I want to say is to the students that do. Stop going out doing stupid shit, like going up to girls, using stupid foul language, and stop doing that. It doesn't do you no good. You're not putting yourself in a position to have this good environment and paint this picture for international student to be good. Because why? The media seeks the small stuff. Yeah. Only thing that being glorified is the dumb stuff you guys do, and everything else gets pushed under the rug. So the people that do it, man, smart enough, man. Yeah, just smart enough, and the other students that are going through it, man, seek help. As Mukh said, there's everybody around you. If not, reach out, DM whoever you feel comfortable. We're always open. I'm always open to everybody, man. I love helping people as much as I can. So. Yeah, man, keep your head up, and appreciate y'all for tuning in. Yeah. Y'all don't subscribe and shit, man. Y'all subscribe. A lot of people y'all here, you're liking and shit, and y'all viewing. You're not following, though. So, appreciate y'all time. Thank you. Peace.